Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Nature channel. Did you know that simply walking among trees, or even just sitting quietly beneath them, can calm your whole body and wash away the worries of the day? It sounds like a fairy tale, but it's something people all over the world have discovered, and scientists have been quietly amazed by it. Tonight, we're going to wander together into a soft, ancient forest and let it do what it does best. Hold you gently, breathe with you, and help everything feel a little more peaceful. Close your eyes for a moment. Take one slow breath. We're going in together. Imagine for a moment that you are standing at the edge of a forest. It doesn't have to be a forest you've ever visited. It can be one that lives only here, only tonight, only in this soft space between waking and sleeping. The trees ahead of you are tall and very still. Their bark is dark and cool. Their branches reach up so high that you can't quite see where they end, only that somewhere above you, the sky is turning a quiet silver blue, the color of early morning or of evening settling in. You take one step forward, and the ground beneath your feet changes. The hard world behind you, the pavement, the noise, the weight of everything you've been carrying, it all softens. Now, there is only earth, soft earth, earth that gives a little under each step, like it's welcoming you back. The Japanese have a name for what you are about to do. They call it Shinrin-Yoku, which means, very gently, forest bathing. It doesn't mean swimming or splashing. It means letting the forest wash over you the way sunlight washes over water, slowly, quietly, without effort. The idea was born in Japan in the 1980s, when people began to notice something simple and profound. Spending time among trees made them feel better, not just a little better, deeply better, calmer in the chest, lighter in the mind. And so, tonight, that is what we are going to do together. We are going to bathe in this forest. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to try. The trees will do most of the work. That is, after all, what they are very good at. You take another step inside, and the sound of the world behind you fades. There is a hush here that feels different from silence. It isn't empty. It's full of small, soft sounds. A leaf turning in a breeze you can barely feel. Something tiny and busy moving through the underbrush, not in a hurry, just living. The creak of a branch far overhead, settling its weight from one side to the other, the way you might shift in a chair at the end of a long day. You breathe in, and the air is different here. Cooler, heavier with moisture, scented with something you can't quite name. Green and earthy and old and clean all at once. That smell is real. The forest is genuinely giving you something through the air. Trees release tiny invisible molecules into the atmosphere around them. Scientists call them phytoncides, but you don't need to remember that word. Think of them instead as the forest's breath. Each tree breathes out, and what it breathes out becomes, in part, what you breathe in. And something very kind happens when you do. Your body, which has perhaps been tense for hours or days without you fully noticing, begins to let go. Slowly, steadily, like a hand that has been gripping something hard, finally, quietly, opening. The path ahead of you is not a path exactly. It's more of a suggestion, a gentle opening between the trees where other feet have walked before. You don't need to follow it. You can. Or you can simply stop where you are and look up. The canopy above you is extraordinary. The leaves overlap and gap and overlap again, and through those gaps, the light comes down in thin, slanted lines, each one full of slowly drifting specks, pollen, spores, tiny particles of the forest moving through the air like the slowest possible snow. You watch one drift, then another. There is no hurry here. There never was. Here is something wonderful to know. Trees in a forest are not alone. Beneath your feet, in the soil you're walking on, there is an entire network, a web of very fine threads called mycelium, which is part of fungi, and which connects tree to tree to tree. Through this web, trees share nutrients. They send signals. Scientists have found that older trees, the great ones, the ones whose trunks you could not put your arms around, actually feed the younger ones around them. They send sugar and water through the underground web when the young trees need it. The forest is not a collection of separate things. It is one thing. One living, breathing, quietly communicating community. Knowing that, doesn't the air feel different? Doesn't standing here feel somehow like being welcomed into something that was already whole? You let your shoulders drop. You didn't realize they were raised. But they were, a little. The way everyone holds a little bit of the world in their shoulders without noticing. Now, they drop. The trees don't mind. The trees have seen everything. They are very patient. If this walk is helping you unwind, a little like or a comment lets me know you're here. And I'd love to hear what you're feeling tonight. The light is changing now, settling deeper into gold. You keep walking slowly, without destination. And the forest keeps breathing around you, steady and sure, the way it has for longer than anyone can remember. A single leaf falls from somewhere above. It doesn't fall fast. It tilts and drifts and spins in a small, lazy spiral, the way leaves do when there is almost no wind, when the air is content to hold them for just a little longer before letting them go. You watch it land on the path in front of you. Barely a sound, barely a disturbance, just a quiet arrival, just the end of one small journey and the beginning of something else, something slower and more patient still. You are in the right place. You are doing exactly the right thing. There is nothing to fix or solve or finish right now. There is only this, the soft ground, the reaching trees, the golden light, and the sound of your own breathing, which, without you even trying, has already begun to slow. The path curves here, gently, and the trees grow a little closer together. Not close enough to feel enclosed, close enough to feel held. There is a difference, and you feel it now without needing to explain it. The bark of the nearest tree is rough and deeply furrowed, full of tiny valleys and ridges that have been forming for decades. If you reach out and rest your palm against it, the bark is cool and slightly damp, and the texture under your fingertips is unlike anything made by human hands. Irregular, ancient, completely itself. Touching a tree, it turns out, is not a small thing. There is research that suggests that even this, the simple act of placing your hand on bark, can lower your heart rate, can ease the tension in your muscles. It sounds almost too easy, but your body is very old, in a certain sense. Far older than any city, far older than any of the world's noise. Your body knows trees. It has known them for longer than it can remember. You hold your palm there for a moment. The tree doesn't move. It doesn't acknowledge you in any way you can see. But it has been here since before you were born, and it will be here after you are gone. And in this moment, that is not a sad thought. It is a peaceful one. Something is carrying on. Something enormous and green and slow is carrying on, regardless. You look down now at the base of the tree. The roots spread out across the ground like rivers on a map. Some thick as your forearm, some narrow as rope. All of them disappearing into the earth at slightly different angles, as if reaching for different things in different directions. A single root has lifted a small stone and holds it now, gently, in a crook. The stone looks like it has been there forever. Perhaps it has. Tree roots, when they grow alongside the roots of other trees, actually fuse together sometimes. Two trees, standing close, will merge their roots underground, sharing their anchor, sharing their reach. Scientists have found paired trees whose root systems have become so intertwined over centuries that when one of them dies, the other may survive longer than expected, held up in part by the dead tree's network of connections still intact in the soil. Even after it's gone, it is still, in some quiet way, holding its partner up. There is something in that which feels important, something gentle and worth sitting with. You don't need to decide what it means. You just feel it, somewhere beneath words. A small bird lands on a branch above your head. You didn't hear it coming. Birds are quieter than you'd think when they choose to be. It is a tiny thing, brown and round, and it tilts its head to look at you with one bright eye. Birds have extraordinary vision. What they see when they look at you is something quite different from what you see when you look at them. They can detect colors in the ultraviolet range, a whole spectrum of the world that is invisible to you, always present and always unseen. The bird looks at you, sees something in whatever palette it perceives, and decides you are harmless. It stays. You stay too. Neither of you is in a hurry. That, in itself, is a kind of miracle. Two creatures in the same tree's shadow, both of you still, both of you just breathing. If you're enjoying this walk, you might love our other nighttime stories in the playlist. There's a whole collection waiting for you whenever the world feels too loud. The forest floor around you is a world in itself, fallen leaves in every stage of becoming. Some still crisp and curled, holding their original shape. Some broken into fragments, some dissolved into a dark, soft layer that you can sink your fingers into if you kneel down. This process is so slow and so steady that it's almost invisible, but it never stops. What falls in autumn becomes soil by spring. What becomes soil feeds roots. What feeds roots becomes canopy. What becomes canopy falls again in autumn. It is one of the oldest cycles in the world, and it has no beginning and no end. There is a small patch of moss a little to your left. Vivid green, the kind of green that seems almost lit from within, as if it has swallowed some portion of the morning light and is still holding it. Moss is ancient. The genus of plants that mosses belong to has been around for roughly 450 million years. When the first mosses appeared, there were no forests, no flowers, no birds, no insects. There was almost nothing, just rock and water and slow geological time. And moss, the quiet pioneer, spreading cell by cell over stone, making the first fragile foothold for everything that would come after. You crouch down and look at it closely. It is made of thousands of tiny individual plants, each one a miniature version of the whole, standing upright and reaching for light, holding moisture in its tiny body like a sponge. After rain, moss can hold up to 20 times its own weight in water. It becomes, for a little while, a small wet world, and if you were small enough to walk through it, it would feel like walking through a rainforest. You are not small enough, but looking at it now, in the forest's quiet gold light, you can almost imagine it, and the imagining is restful. The mind that spends a few moments in a place this small and this still is a mind that has, for those few moments, put down its weight. The bird overhead shifts its weight from foot to foot, makes a sound like a single soft note, and lifts off into the canopy. You watch it go. You breathe out. The forest receives your breath without comment, without judgment, without anything at all except this steady, patient, enormous green presence all around you. And that is more than enough. The light shifts again. There is always light shifting in a forest, even on still days, because the leaves are never truly still. Even when there seems to be no wind, the leaves move minutely, independently, each responding to something too small to name, a tiny eddy of air, a vibration from something far above, the slow growing weight of themselves. The light that comes through them is therefore never the same from one moment to the next. It flickers, it breathes. Being in a forest is like standing inside something alive, and that flickering light, as it turns out, does something to your nervous system. Your eyes, tracking subtly shifting patterns of brightness and shadow without your effort or intention, enter a state that researchers describe as soft fascination, a kind of attention that is engaged but effortless, receptive but not straining. It is the opposite of the focused, demanding attention you use all day long at work, at screens, in conversations that require something from you. In soft fascination, your mind is present but not working hard. It rests inside the watching. Children fall into this state easily. You can see it on their faces when they stand watching waves, or clouds, or fire, or, yes, leaves in a gentle breeze. The face goes smooth and loose. The eyes open without quite focusing. The jaw unclenches. What you are doing now, looking up at the canopy above you, is doing the same thing. Your body knows. It has always known how to do this. The wind picks up a little, just slightly, and moves through the upper branches with a sound that has no real comparison. It is not quite a whisper, not quite music, not quite breath, but something of all three. Different trees make different sounds in the wind. A beech tree's sound is lighter and higher than an oak's. A pine forest has a low, resonant sweep that sounds almost like something breathing through a very large instrument. A bamboo grove, which is not a tree at all, but a grass, the tallest, most improbable grass on earth, creates a clicking, rustling sound, dry and clean and slightly percussive. The trees around you now, wherever this forest is, make their own sound. You listen for it, and there it is. A soft collective sigh, a settling, a susurration that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere. You close your eyes for just a moment and let it fill you. You don't need to see anything right now. You can just listen. The listening is enough. If you'd like to tell me what kind of forest you imagine tonight, I'd love to read your comment. Every one of them makes me so happy to see. With your eyes closed, your other senses deepen. You notice now the smell more acutely. that particular scent of deep forest. What creates it? Part of it is the phytoncides from the trees. Part of it is petrichor, the name for the smell of rain on dry earth, created by a combination of plant oils released into the soil and a compound produced by soil bacteria. Part of it is the smell of decay. And that word sounds ugly, but the smell is not. The smell of things composting in a forest floor is deep and rich and oddly comforting. The smell of transformation, of nothing being wasted, of everything going somewhere. You breathe it in, all of it, without trying to separate the components. Your lungs are grateful. Your brain is grateful. All of this entering you steadily, quietly, doing its quiet work. You open your eyes, and there ahead of you, a shaft of light has broken through the canopy and is falling on a small clearing. Not a big clearing, barely large enough for a few people to stand in, but enough for the sun to reach the ground. In that circle of light, a cluster of small wildflowers has found its way. They are white, small petaled. Their centers yellow. You don't need to know their name. They are here, and they are in the light, and they are very beautiful in the way that only small, unhurried things are beautiful. Wildflowers in forest clearings often exist because of disturbance. A fallen tree, a gap left by lightning, some old presence that allowed the sun in. The flowers know nothing of this history, of course. They simply grew toward light, the way all flowers do, because growing toward light is the whole of their nature. They don't choose it or celebrate it or worry about whether it will last. They just do it completely and without reservation. And the result is this: a small pool of white and gold in the green dark of the trees. Very simple, very perfect. You stand at the edge of the clearing and look at them for a while. The light in the clearing is warmer than the light under the canopy. It reaches your face, and your face receives it the way it always has. Warming, softening, easing the small tightnesses you carry there without noticing. The back of your neck releases. Something behind your eyes releases. You think of nothing in particular, and that, right now, is the most restful thing in the world. There is a small stream nearby. You can hear it before you see it. A low, continuous sound, not loud, not dramatic, just present, constant and clean. The sound of water moving over stones is one of the oldest sounds your body has ever heard. For most of human history, the sound of running water meant safety. Drinkable water nearby, life sustained, no need to move on yet. And so, your body, when it hears this sound, softens in a way it never quite does in silence. Running water says, "You can stay here. You are all right." You follow the sound a little, stepping around a root, ducking under a low branch, not because you have to, but because the branch is there, and you are choosing to be careful with this place, the way you are careful with things you find precious. The stream reveals itself between two mossy stones, narrow enough to step across. Its water the color of dark tea, where it pools and runs clear, where it moves fast. The bottom is smooth pebbles, each one worn by the water into its own particular shape, oval, flat, rounded, each one carrying in its smoothness the record of how long the water has been working. Water is patient beyond imagination. Given enough time, it will soften anything. It does not force. It simply moves steadily and persistently around whatever is there. And in that moving, eventually, everything yields. There is a lesson somewhere in that, a gentle one, not urgent, just worth knowing. You crouch beside the stream and watch the water. Watching moving water is one of the most restful things a human being can do. Studies of brain activity show that the brain, in a state of relaxed water watching, enters a low-frequency state, very similar to what it does in the moments just before sleep. A dreamy, open, receptive state called the alpha wave state. Your mind becomes soft at the edges. Thoughts rise and drift away without needing to be caught or pursued. You are here. You are watching. That is all. A water strider, a small insect with long, delicate legs, is moving across the still pool at the stream's edge. It doesn't break the surface. Its legs dimple the water, but do not penetrate it. Tiny craters of shadow moving across the stream bed below. 4 shadow legs for each real one. The surface tension of water is a fascinating thing. Water molecules at the surface hold each other tight enough to support something light enough to understand it. The water strider, in its whole life, will never know what water is like from inside. It lives on the skin of something it will never enter. Our playlist has many more walks like this one. Oceans, meadows, rainy mornings. If you haven't explored it yet, it's a lovely place to visit when sleep is slow in coming. You sit down on the bank of the stream. The ground here is soft with moss and old leaves, slightly damp but not uncomfortable. You let your weight settle into it fully. Not just your body's weight, but the other weight, the kind that doesn't show. The stream moves in front of you, making its sound. The trees rise up on either side of it. A small brown bird is doing something industrious at the far bank, pecking, investigating, perfectly absorbed in the work of being a bird. The air above the stream is slightly cooler and more humid than the forest air. Water is always evaporating into the air around it, and that evaporation takes heat with it, leaving the air fresh and cool. On a warm day, sitting beside a stream is like sitting in a gentle, natural air conditioning. Not cold, just eased. Just a little of the world's heat removed, quietly, persistently, without being asked. Tiny bubbles form at the edge of a submerged stone and rise. You watch them. Each one holds a tiny globe of air, an air pocket from below the water, captured and lifted to the surface, and then, with the smallest sound and the smallest ripple, released. That is a cycle too. Everything here is cycling, everything moving in its patient loop. Air to water to air, water to cloud to rain to stream to sea to cloud again. Nothing disappearing, everything becoming something else. Your breath slows to match the pace of the stream. Not too slow, not forced, just easy. The way breathing is when your body finally trusts that there is nothing to defend against, nothing to solve, nothing that needs to be different from what it is. The stream runs, the trees stand, the water strider crosses the pool again, and you rest very quietly in the middle of all of it. This is what the forest is doing for you, not performing, not trying, just being what it is, completely and without effort. And in doing so, offering you the possibility of doing the same, being what you are, completely, without effort, just for now, just for this small, quiet stretch of time. You follow the stream for a while, not hurrying, letting your feet find their own pace. The stream curves, and the trees on its banks lean toward each other over the water, their branches sometimes touching overhead, sometimes leaving a narrow channel of sky. Looking up through that channel, you can see the sky has deepened. The blue is the blue of late afternoon, full and rich, with one long, slow cloud moving through it from left to right, unhurried and enormous, carrying weather somewhere else, not troubling you. Clouds seen from forest gaps are a particular kind of beautiful. Framed by branches, they become paintings. A cloud that would be unremarkable from an open field becomes, in a forest clearing, something you'd stand and watch for minutes. Its slow crossing of the sky above the still dark branches, its changing shape, its impossible soft whiteness against the deepening blue. You watch this one move and change its edges, a long wing of vapor stretching and thinning at one end, thickening at the other. Water again. Everything up there is water. The air around you smells different near the stream, darker and richer, with more of that deep earth scent coming up from the mud at the bank. You notice other things your nose had been too busy to catch before. Something faintly sweet, high and clean, from somewhere in the canopy, likely a flowering tree, blooming not for you, not for beauty as you think of it, but to call pollinators. The smell is a signal, not a gift, but you receive it as a gift, because that is your nature too. There is an old oak ahead, at a bend in the stream. You know it immediately as an oak, not because you're a botanist, but because some shapes are so familiar, they live in something older than memory. The oak's trunk is wide and gray-brown and deeply furrowed, its lower branches beginning about the height of two of you, sweeping out almost horizontally before curving upward. There is something about the way oaks hold their branches, something deliberate and patient, a sense of weight being managed with dignity. An oak this size has been growing for perhaps 200 years. Everything it has experienced, every storm, every drought, every cold winter, every warm, slow spring, is written somewhere in its structure, in rings too deep inside to see, in the particular lean of its branches, in the shape of the space it has carved for itself among other trees over decades. 200 years. Your great-great-grandparents' grandparents. The oak was here before anyone you know ever lived. It will be here if it is lucky, if the weather holds, and the soil holds, and the world holds, for another 200 years after you. The thought is not frightening. Settled into the soft pace of this walk, it is simply large and true, and somehow comforting. Some things are built to outlast us. The oak doesn't worry about this. You don't need to either. If you're watching this late at night, I hope the forest is helping your mind go quiet. A comment or a like means more than you know. It tells me you're out there, walking with me. You sit down against the oak's roots. One great root makes a natural backrest, curved just slightly, worn smooth by time and weather, and perhaps other people who have rested here before you. Your back against the bark, the stream visible a few meters away, the canopy overhead, the light falling gold and low. This is, for lack of a better word, perfect, not in the way that is hard to maintain, perfect in the way that a stone is perfect, or a cloud. It simply is exactly what it is, and that is enough. There are acorns in the leaf litter at your feet, brown and small and countless, each one containing, in miniature, the complete information of this tree, all its height, all its patience, all its 200 years of slow growing. An acorn is a seed, which means It is an instruction set of extraordinary complexity, written in a language older than anything humans have invented, waiting for the right conditions to begin. Most acorns never become oaks. They are eaten, or they rot, or they land in shadow, or they are carried by squirrels to places they don't quite take root. But a few, just a few, find the right patch of soil, the right amount of light, the right amount of moisture, and they begin. And they don't stop. You pick up one acorn and turn it in your fingers. Its cap is rough, its body smooth. It weighs almost nothing. And yet, you set it back down carefully in the leaf litter near the base of the oak. Perhaps someone, 200 years from now, will sit against the tree that grew from this exact acorn on this exact patch of earth, watching a different sky, with the same stream still running a few meters away. Or perhaps not. But the acorn will try. That much is certain. The light through the oak's canopy is especially beautiful. Oak leaves are irregular and lobed, and the canopy they form is therefore irregular too. Not a solid ceiling, but a mosaic full of holes and angles, letting the light through in shafts that illuminate different things at different moments. Right now, a shaft of light is falling on a spider's web strung between two small branches, catching the silk and making it glow white gold. The spider, small and dark at the web's edge, is absolutely still, waiting, being exactly what it is. The light catches the web for another moment, then shifts, and the web becomes invisible again, still there, but no longer lit. Still patient, still waiting. There are ants near your foot. Not an alarming number, just a few, moving in that ant's way that manages to seem purposeful and hurried without ever looking frantic. They are small, dark, and extremely busy with something that you cannot quite see. Perhaps a crumb, perhaps a small dead insect, perhaps simply a bit of leaf that has been designated in some ant accounting system too complex to imagine as useful. You watch them for a while, and the watching is genuinely restful, in the way that watching anything very small and very absorbed in its own business is restful. They are not thinking about you. They are not thinking at all in the way you think. They are simply doing completely with their whole small bodies. Ants have been on this planet for roughly 100 million years. They were here when the great forests of the Cretaceous were young, when creatures you'd barely recognize were still finding out what shape to be. Ants, in that long span of time, have not changed very much. The basic plan has been steady, reliable, successful. An ant colony is not a collection of individuals so much as it is a single distributed organism. No ant decides anything, but collectively they make decisions of extraordinary complexity: where to forage, how to build, when to defend, when to move. The intelligence exists in the pattern, not in any single creature. That is a beautiful thing to consider while lying in a forest. A few feet further along the oak root, a beetle moves slowly across the bark. A small one, its shell the color of old copper, catching the light for a moment as it turns. Beetles are famously numerous. Roughly 40% of all known insect species are beetles, which means that if you were to write down the name of every known animal species on individual pieces of paper and shuffled them randomly, you'd pick out a beetle almost as often as you'd pick out anything else. The forest around you right now, in its soil and bark and fallen wood and leaves, contains more individual beetles than you can reasonably count. They are everywhere, all busy, all part of the great work of decomposition and soil making and nutrient cycling that keeps the whole thing going. The world is so much more alive than it looks, even in stillness, even in silence, even in this soft late afternoon under these particular trees. The life present per square meter of forest floor is staggering. Bacteria in the billions, fungi threading through soil, nematodes, springtails, mites, beetles, worms, and all of them doing their work, all of them part of the same system that made this forest possible, that keeps it standing, that feeds these trees and keeps the stream clean and processes the fallen leaves back into earth. You are not a visitor to a stage set. You are inside a living process of almost incomprehensible complexity, and it is holding you up quite literally every step you take. Don't forget to check the playlist when you wake up, or the next time a long day leaves you needing somewhere quiet to go. It's always there for you. The sun is lower now. The shadows of the trees have lengthened and merged, and the forest has taken on that warm amber quality that comes in the hour before sunset. Each trunk lit orange on its western side, each shadow long and blue. This light is called golden hour by photographers who know that it does something to the world that no other light can quite do. It softens edges, deepens colors, makes ordinary things extraordinary for a little while. You are inside it now, this soft amber late afternoon light, and your skin is warm with it, and the trunks around you are glowing, and even the leaf litter at your feet has taken on a richness it didn't have this morning. You lean back against the oak root and let your eyes drift half closed. Not sleeping, not yet, just releasing the effort of full wakefulness for a moment. The forest sounds continue around you, the stream very gently, something small moving through dead leaves somewhere behind you, the occasional calling of a bird, further off now as evening approaches. In the long light, a small moth, pale, barely visible, flutters past and is gone. Moths are mostly nocturnal, and they navigate partly by light, preferring the dim and the dark. This one is early, or perhaps this evening light is dim enough for it, golden and horizontal. It disappears between two trees, and the space where it was is exactly the same as before it was there. You breathe in, long and slow. The forest air, cooler now with evening approaching, enters you and fills you and is yours for a moment. All those molecules, all those phytoncides, all that clean, cool, green oxygen produced by 10,000 years of photosynthesis. And then you breathe out, and what you give back is what the trees need. And they receive it without ceremony, just as you did, just as breathing goes. Back and forth, together, not even knowing it. All of it happening without effort, without intention, without anything at all, except the simple fact of being alive in the same place at the same time. This is what forest bathing is at its heart. Not technique, not practice, just presence. Just being here in the company of old and patient things and allowing the body to remember what it has always known, that this is where it belongs, that trees are not scenery, that the ground beneath you is not background, that you are part of this, not a visitor to it, and have been always, whether you remembered or not. The evening deepens. Not quickly. The forest evening comes in slowly, like the tide, the light changing by degrees too gradual to track, until you suddenly notice that the amber is gone, and in its place is something softer, more diffuse, a light without a clear source. The light of the sky still bright above the canopy, but filtered down through the leaves into something gentle and gray-green and very calm. This is the light just after sunset in a forest, and it is unlike light anywhere else. Muted but not dark, full but not directed, as if the whole sky has become a lantern and is glowing evenly in every direction at once. The temperature has dropped a little, not uncomfortably, just enough to make you aware of the air on your forearms, enough to make a slow breath visible as the faintest mist for just a moment before it dissolves. The forest at this hour smells different too. Darker, the green smell heavier, mixed now with something like stone and cold water. It is the smell of the earth releasing the day's warmth back into the atmosphere. A slow exhale that happens every evening in every forest, on every temperate hillside everywhere, whether anyone is there to notice it or not. A wood pigeon calls from somewhere above you, its voice a low, soft, slightly melancholy sound. 5 notes in a pattern, the same 5 notes, again and again, as it has been calling since before your grandparents were born. Wood pigeons are among the most common birds in many forests, and for that reason, people sometimes don't really hear them. They become background, like traffic or rain. But in the quiet of this particular evening, in this particular forest, you hear it. 5 notes. Pause. 5 notes. The sound fills the space between the trees and is absorbed by it, and the space receives it as it receives everything, without preference, without comment, steady and wide and perfectly accepting. You think for just a moment about stress, about what stress actually is in the body, the tightening of certain muscles, the quickening of certain rhythms, the narrowing of attention down to the thing that needs to be handled right now, right now, right now. It is useful. Stress. It evolved for good reasons, but it was never meant to be constant. It was meant to rise and fall, the way the stream rises and falls, the way the light rises and falls. The forest knows nothing of sustained stress. Nothing here stays in emergency mode. Even the trees, when storm damaged, even the animals, when threatened, return to baseline. The baseline is the natural state. Everything tends back toward rest, toward balance, toward the slow, quiet work of being alive without alarm. If this kind of walk is something you love, a like on the video helps more people find it. More people who might need exactly this tonight. Thank you for being here. And that is, in the most precise sense, what the forest is doing to you right now. It is returning you to baseline, not through any magic, through the very ordinary magic of air and sound and light and scale. The scale of trees specifically, the way standing among things taller and older and slower than you shifts the proportions of worry. A tree that has been growing for 200 years makes a 20-year-old problem feel smaller, not because the problem doesn't matter, but because it exists in a context so much larger than itself. Problems remain problems, but they fit differently. They are carried differently. They are, for now at least, set down. A frog calls from the stream once, twice, a short loud sound very different from the pigeon's soft persistence. Then silence. Then once more, as if checking. Frogs have been making this sound, essentially the same sound, for over 250 million years. The frog's call at dusk is one of the oldest continuous sounds on Earth. You are hearing something tonight that the dinosaurs heard. You are hearing something that will continue in one form or another, long after every road and building and screen is gone, and the forest has moved back in to reclaim what was always its own. There is something in that which is not frightening, but oddly comforting, a sense of deep time, of something carrying on, of the night being as old and reliable as the day. Fireflies are beginning to appear at the edge of the clearing, faint at first, easy to mistake for something else. But then, unmistakably there, a tiny cold green gold light, blinking, drifting, going dark, appearing somewhere else. Fireflies make light through a chemical reaction that produces almost no heat. It is called cold light, bioluminescence, and it is one of the most beautiful things the natural world does. Each blink is a signal, a conversation, a tiny bright word in a language made of light. The forest, in the growing dark, is writing itself in fire. You watch, and the watching requires nothing from you. No understanding, no response. Just this, open eyes and the blinking lights and the dark between them, and the night arriving slowly, steadily, with all its familiar ancient patience. Night comes to a forest differently than it comes to other places. In a city, night means lights coming on, windows, street lamps, screens, the glow of distant roads. In an open field, night means the sky expanding, the stars appearing one by one, the horizon going dark, and then becoming something else, something more. But in a forest, night is already present beneath the canopy. Long before the sky darkens, the forest floor is already in a kind of twilight. And so, the coming of true night in a forest is gentler, more gradual, a deepening rather than a transition. The green dims, the shadows merge, the spaces between the trees become one soft dark, and the trees themselves become shapes, silhouettes, presences rather than objects. The sounds change with the light. The daytime birds have gone quiet, tucked away in their particular branches, heads under wings, settled into the specific stillness of avian sleep, which is different from your sleep, lighter in some ways, always alert to danger at some level, but rest nonetheless. In their place, other sounds emerge. The tawny owl calls somewhere to your left, a long, trembling sound, very old, very open, rolling through the trees and fading into the soft dark. Owls have been making this sound for roughly 60 million years, give or take. 60 million years of this exact sound in this exact kind of dark. The night knows it. The trees know it. You hear it now, and something in you recognizes it too, at a depth older than memory. Your eyes have adjusted. The forest is not completely dark. The sky above the canopy is still faintly luminous, and enough of that light filters down through gaps in the leaves to make things softly visible. The stream catches what light there is and throws it back slightly. You can see the water as a pale line between darker banks, moving and catching and moving again. The fireflies are brighter now, more numerous, drifting at knee height and waist height, and sometimes overhead. You could reach out and cup one in your hands if you moved slowly enough. You don't. Watching is enough, more than enough. The trees at night are not asleep exactly. Trees don't sleep in the way animals do. But there is a measurable slowing of their processes after dark. Their leaves change their orientation slightly, some species drooping gently as the night deepens, a phenomenon called nectanasty, a slow, nightly folding like the world itself bowing its head. The stomata, the tiny pores in the leaves through which air and water move, mostly close at night. The whole breathing of the forest slows, and that slowing is something you can feel without knowing why you feel it. The place has exhaled. I always love to hear which part of the walk felt most peaceful to you. Leave a comment whenever you like. It's a lovely thing to wake up to. Night-scented flowers begin to open now, if there are any in this forest. Some flowers wait for dark, not because they prefer it, but because the pollinators they have evolved to attract are nocturnal. Moths are among the most important of these night pollinators, and the flowers that need them tend to be pale, white, cream, pale yellow, so that they show up in moonlight, little beacons in the dark. Their scent is strongest at night, rich and sweet and slightly heavy, the kind of scent that carries far in cool air. If you encounter it, it will feel almost unreal. This deep sweetness in the middle of cold forest air, this generosity from something invisible in the dark. You're sitting now, or perhaps you have been sitting for a while, time having gone loose and soft in the way it does when you are deeply restful and unhurried. Your back is still against the oak root. Your hands are loose in your lap. Your breathing is very slow, very regular, very deep, without you having tried to make it that way. Your body has done this on its own, because this is what bodies do when they are finally safe, finally still, finally allowed to stop managing everything and simply be. The physiological sigh, a double inhale followed by a long exhale, happens occasionally on its own, your lungs resetting themselves, releasing the last of the held tension. You don't need to make it happen. It simply does. The stars, where you can see them through the canopy gaps, are appearing one by one. The first star of the evening is usually the brightest, often Venus or Jupiter, hanging very still and very bright just above the tree line. Then more, faint ones, then fainter ones, then the ones so faint you can only see them by not looking directly at them. A trick your eyes know how to do, using the edge of your vision where the light-sensitive cells are more abundant. The more you look slightly away from a faint star, the more visible it becomes. The same, perhaps, is true of certain kinds of rest. The less you try to grasp it directly, the more clearly it arrives. The moon is rising. You don't see it yet. It's still below the tree line. But you can see its effect. A growing brightness on one side of the sky above the canopy. A slow spreading luminosity that is different from starlight. Warmer and more directional. Casting the tree trunks on one side with a faint silver edge. The trees become, in this light, more sculptural. Their bark textured and dimensional. Their roots casting small shadows on the leaf litter below. Everything in moonlight is the same, but different. The same forest, but seen from a different kind of light, so that familiar things become strange in the most beautiful way. The moon that rises over this forest is the same moon that has been rising over forests for billions of years. The same body going through its patient cycle of waxing and waning, pulling the tides, affecting the growth of certain plants, guiding the migration of birds, providing enough light on clear nights that the night is never entirely dark for those who live in it. Ancient forests shape themselves, in part, around the moon. Their fruiting cycles, their flowering times, the breeding seasons of the animals within them, all of them tuned to that slow lunar rhythm. The forest knows the moon well. It has been in this relationship for a very long time. An almost full moon clears the treetops now, and the forest is transformed. The clearing down by the stream, you can see it from here, is filled with silver light. The wildflowers there, now ghostly pale, their stems casting thin shadows on the silver-lit ground. The stream has become a thread of moonlight. The leaves overhead are lit on their upper sides, dark beneath, each one a small lantern. You sit in the middle of this and breathe, and the breathing is easy, and the sitting is easy, and nothing at all requires anything from you. In moonlit forests, certain animals emerge that you rarely see by day. Hedgehogs begin their rounds, snuffling through leaf litter with a focused single-mindedness that is almost comic. A very small creature doing a very large job. Badgers move along their ancient paths between their setts and their feeding grounds, paths worn by generations of badgers, the same routes used so consistently that they become grooves in the forest floor, permanent as small roads. A fox moves through the clearing. You barely see it, just the movement, the amber flash of its eyes for a moment as it angles its head toward you and then dismisses you as harmless, continuing on its way, unhurried, completely at home in this dark. There are nights when the world feels very close and very heavy. On those nights especially, I hope our playlist is somewhere you can come. It's full of soft places. The sound of the forest at night is different in texture from daytime sound. Daytime sound is layered and bright, many voices at many frequencies, the kind of richness that fills you up. Nighttime sound is sparser, lower, more resonant. Each sound stands out more distinctly against the silence between them. The owl again, closer now. A sudden soft rustle somewhere in the undergrowth, then nothing. The stream, continuous and indifferent to the hour. A moth brushing against a leaf. The tiniest possible sound, barely there, but in this quiet, heard. All of these sounds together form a texture that is, somehow, more restful than silence. Silence is absence. This is presence. This is the forest continuing to be itself all night, without interruption, as it always has. You are aware now of your own weight, the pleasing heaviness of a body that has been walking and sitting and breathing outside. A tiredness that is the good kind, the earned kind, the kind that doesn't feel like depletion, but like completion. Your legs feel heavy. Your back against the root is warm and slightly loose. Your eyes are heavy too, not fighting sleep, not trying to stay awake, just present, just here, watching the moonlit forest with the soft attention of someone who has nothing to prove and nowhere to be. The phytoncides from the trees have been entering your body this whole time, during the walking and the sitting and the watching and the drifting. Research shows that these compounds increase the activity of a type of immune cell called natural killer cells, which is a very dramatic name for something that simply means your immune system working well, steadily, quietly, doing its maintenance work. The forest has been caring for you in this way, without your knowledge, without your participation, simply because you were here and it was here, and the air moved between you. You gave it nothing except your presence, and in return, it gave you everything it had. Time passes in the forest the way it passes in sleep, in long, unhurried stretches that you cannot quite account for afterward. You have been here for hours, perhaps, or it feels that way, or perhaps it has only been a short while, and the peacefulness has made it feel longer, in the best way, the way that pleasant things feel both long and short at once, as if time itself has become elastic, agreeable, content to move at whatever pace suits you. The moon has moved higher. You can see it now if you tilt your head back against the oak root and look straight up through the canopy. A nearly full disk, very white, very still, surrounded by the dark lacework of branches reaching toward it. The branches don't reach for the moon, of course. They reach for the sun, which is long gone. But at night, by moonlight, it is easy to imagine that they are reaching for this cold, white light, and finding it almost enough. There is dew forming. You can feel it on the air. A slight increase in the moisture content, a softening of the temperature, a feeling of the night growing denser around you. Dew forms when surface is cool enough after sunset that the moisture in the air condenses on them, on leaves, on bark, on spider webs, on the grass of clearings. By early morning, the forest will be covered in it, each leaf with its bead or two of water, each web transformed into a necklace of tiny spheres, each one reflecting the sky, the trees, the world in miniature. The forest making itself new, as it does every morning, as it has always done. You think about how long you've been carrying things, not in this forest, in your regular life, before you came here, before this evening of soft paths and stream sounds and owl calls. The things you carry that are simply the weight of being a person in the world. The worries about whether you're doing enough, being enough, moving in the right direction. The accumulated weight of all the decisions, all the conversations, all the small anxieties that pile up over a day, a week, a month, and sit in your shoulders and your jaw and the space behind your eyes. You have been carrying them. You didn't put them down on purpose. They just went somewhere lighter. While you were watching the water strider, while you were feeling the moss, while you were listening to the owl. They didn't disappear. They will be there, probably, when you return to your life. But they weigh differently now. They fit more loosely. There is some space around them that wasn't there before. If you're sharing this channel with a friend who needs a quieter night, please do. Nothing makes me happier than knowing this place is being passed on, one tired heart to another. This is, scientifically speaking, real. The research on forest bathing, conducted in Japan and South Korea and across Europe by scientists in medicine and psychology and environmental studies, consistently shows reduced levels of cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone, in people who have spent time in forests. Cortisol levels drop, heart rate drops, blood pressure drops. The immune system strengthens, the mood improves. The effect begins within minutes and lasts, in some studies, for days. You don't need to do anything special. You don't need to meditate or exercise or actively try to relax. You just need to be in the forest. The forest does the rest. In Japan, there are now designated forest therapy trails, carefully chosen paths through particular forests, whose phytoncide content and sound profile and canopy structure have been studied and found to produce the most profound relaxation response. Forest bathing has been officially incorporated into the Japanese healthcare system. A doctor can, in some circumstances, prescribe a walk in the woods. This is not a metaphor. This is medicine, green and old and quiet, and completely without side effects. The stars above the canopy gaps are thick and bright now, the Milky Way visible as a soft, dense smear of light across the darkest part of the sky. The stars you can see with the naked eye are between a few hundred and a few thousand light years away, which means the light entering your eyes right now left its source long before any living person was born. You are seeing the past. You always are when you look at stars. The universe shows itself in history, not in real time. And what you see on any clear night is a layered record of light that traveled billions of kilometers to reach you, reaching you now in this forest in the dark, while the owl calls and the stream runs and the dew settles on the leaves around you. You are, in this moment, connected to something incomprehensibly large, and that too is a kind of rest. Deep night in the forest has a quality of stillness that is different from any other kind of stillness. The city is never still. There is always traffic, always HVAC hum, always some distant siren or engine or screen. The coast is never still. The sea moves constantly, restlessly, even at night. But in a forest at 2 or 3 in the morning, on a calm night, with the moon high and the air barely moving, there are stretches of genuine quiet that seem almost solid. Not empty quiet, full quiet. The quiet of things resting, of processes continuing at their slowest, of the whole breathing complex system of the forest doing its patient nighttime maintenance work in the dark. In that quiet, your heartbeat becomes audible to you. Not alarming, just present. A steady, deep pulse, regular and persistent, doing what it has been doing since before you were born, what it will do until the very last moment. Your heartbeat, listened to in a quiet forest at night, is one of the most grounding sounds in the world. It is the sound of you continuing, of the life in you carrying on, regardless. The trees have their pulse too, the slow movement of water and nutrients through their vascular systems. From roots to canopy, the sap ascending in the warm months, descending and slowing in the cold. A different rhythm, a much slower one, but a rhythm nonetheless. The forest is full of rhythms, all of them slower than yours, all of them steady. You let your eyes close. Not to sleep, or maybe to sleep. It doesn't matter. The distinction between deep restfulness and light sleep is not as sharp as we tend to think. There is a state between them that is its own kind of healing. The eyes closed, the body heavy and still, the mind drifting without direction or urgency, thoughts arising and dissolving like the bubbles in the stream, nothing requiring a response. The body in this state does most of its repair work. Cells regenerate. Immune systems consolidate their work. The nervous system files what needs to be filed and releases what no longer needs to be held. You don't need to manage any of this. You just need to be here, eyes closed, breathing, resting against this old root, while the forest continues around you. A bat flickers past overhead. You barely register it. A quick dark shape against the stars, moving with that characteristic darting, banking flight path that looks random, but is anything but. Bats echolocate. They emit sounds too high for you to hear and listen to the echoes bouncing back from everything around them. They are flying, in a sense, through a world made of sound, a constant incoming map of space built in real time from reflection. The bat knows exactly where it is. It knows the branch 2 meters to its left, the gap in the canopy 3 meters ahead, the moth, the actual moth. It is navigating toward in the dark. None of this visible. All of it precise. You're doing so well, just resting here, letting the night do its quiet work. A like on the video is a small thing, but it means the forest reaches more people who need it. The moth, for its part, has its own navigation. Moths are drawn to light. This is well known. But it was not always artificial light they were drawn to. Before the invention of electric lights, moths navigated by moonlight, using the moon as a fixed point to maintain direction. The moon, being so far away, stays in the same relative position even as the moth moves, and by keeping the moon at a consistent angle, the moth could fly in a straight line. Artificial lights confuse this mechanism. The nearby bulb's angle changes as the moth approaches, and the moth spirals in, misled by something that is not the moon. The moth does not know this. It is navigating faithfully by the only instrument it has. In a dark forest, by moonlight, the system works perfectly. The moth moves in great confident curves through the silver air, perfectly oriented, perfectly at home. The forest at this hour belongs entirely to the night animals. The daytime world, birdsong, butterflies, bees at flowers, is suspended, stored, resting. In its place, the hushed and purposeful night. Everything present has adapted specifically to this. Their eyes built for low light, their hearing tuned for faint sounds, their whole existence calibrated to the dark. They are not afraid of the dark, these creatures. The dark is their medium, their home, their competence. Watching them from your warm stillness against the oak root, you feel something of that ease pass into you. The dark is safe. The night is gentle. The forest at 3 a.m. is the same forest it was at noon, just quieter, just slower, just showing a different face of the same continuous, breathing, ancient thing. Your breathing has slowed to the rhythm of the forest around you, long in, long out. Your body and the body of this place have come, gradually and without effort, into the same pace. This is called coherence. In a way, two systems finding the same rhythm. The forest doesn't know it. You barely know it. But it's happening. It has been happening since you walked in under the first trees, and it will continue for as long as you are here. And some of it, some residue of the rhythm, some echo of this pace, will stay with you when you go. There is a moment in every deep forest night when the dark begins to have a slightly different quality. Not lighter yet, not any color at all, but different. A difference you feel more than see. Your body knows it. Some ancient mechanism tuned to the turning of the planet over millions of years of evolution begins very subtly to prepare. The nervous system shifts almost imperceptibly. Certain hormones, which have been at their lowest ebb through the deep night, begin the first tentative rise of their daily cycle. Your body does not wait for the sun. It predicts the sun based on everything it has learned about the pattern of each day. It knows that light is coming. It begins to prepare for it in the dark, hours before it arrives. The forest knows too. Some flowers begin their slow opening process before dawn, not in response to light, but in anticipation of it, guided by their own internal clock. Birds, deep in their roost sleep, shift and resettle as the hormones that govern waking begin their gradual climb. The whole forest is preparing for something that hasn't happened yet. And in that preparation, that collective quiet turning toward the approaching day, there is a particular quality of peace that exists nowhere else and at no other time. The sounds of the very early morning are different from any other time. Silence first, a deeper, stiller silence then the active silence of the full night. Then, from somewhere far off, the first bird, a single note. Then silence again, then another note, from the same bird or a different one, you can't be sure. This is the beginning of what is called the dawn chorus, one of the most extraordinary natural events that happens every single day on Earth, largely unheard. The dawn chorus is birds beginning to sing in the last darkness before dawn, each species starting at its own particular level of light, the earliest rising first, the others joining in one by one over the course of an hour or more, until by full light the whole canopy is alive with layered, overlapping song. You are hearing its earliest notes now, just one bird, then silence, then two. The sound in the dark is startlingly beautiful, bright and precise against the soft background of the night, each note perfectly clear, as if the darkness is itself a resonant chamber, a concert hall for this one small voice. The bird has been awake for perhaps 30 seconds. It is doing what birds do, declaring itself present, marking its place, beginning the new day with the only instrument it has, which happens to be extraordinary. We have a whole playlist of dawns and mornings and gentle nature walks. Whenever you need a soft beginning to the day, it's there for you. The sky above the canopy is only beginning to change. Black becomes in the east very deep blue black. Not blue yet, not even close, but the deepest blue black, the color the sky goes just before it admits that dawn is coming. The stars in that part of the sky have slightly softened, as if the light already accumulating below the horizon is very faintly reaching them, very faintly diminishing their edge. This is the false dawn, the first whisper of morning. It will recede once and then return, stronger, before the sun itself appears. The sky, like the forest, like you, does not rush. The air is at its coldest now. The temperature always drops to its lowest point, just before dawn. The dew on the leaves is at its heaviest. If you brushed a fern with your hand right now, your hand would come away wet. The air smells colder and cleaner than it has all night. The scent of the earth sharper, the green of the trees, invisible in the dark but present in the smell, somehow more alive. A morning mist is beginning to form along the stream, rising from the water in thin, pale tendrils, moving very slowly, taking no particular direction, just rising because the air above is cold enough to make the water's warmth visible. Mist over a forest stream in the last dark before dawn is one of the most beautiful things in the natural world. You're watching it. It asks nothing of you. More birds now, 3 or 4 species perhaps. You can hear them layering, one higher, one lower, one with a repeating triplet, one with a long sliding note. They don't interfere with each other. Each voice finds its frequency, its moment, its place in the sound. The forest is filling with this slowly, the way a room fills with light when you turn a dimmer. Not all at once, but incrementally, each addition raising the whole, and the whole becoming something far larger than any of its individual parts. You listen, and the listening is the most alive you have felt all night. The sky in the east is unmistakably lighter now. Not sunrise yet, not the sun itself above the horizon, but the anticipation of it. The sky brightening from within, a gradient of dark blue to gray blue, to something that will soon be touched with gold. The highest clouds, still barely visible against the lightening sky, have caught the first color, a faint rose, very far away, very high, the color of something not yet decided, something between night and day, still finding its balance. The dawn chorus is in full voice now. It is remarkable. Standing in a forest at full dawn chorus is one of the few genuinely overwhelming experiences that nature offers in peace. Overwhelming not with fear or scale, but with beauty and abundance. Dozens of species, each singing their particular song, all overlapping, all simultaneous, the sound filling the entire volume of the forest, from the ground to the canopy, in a way that seems to come from everywhere at once. No recording quite captures it. No description quite captures it. You have to be inside it, the way you are inside it now, with the sound surrounding you from every direction, the trees full of invisible voices, the whole forest singing itself into another day. Different birds sing for different reasons at dawn. Some are signaling to potential mates. This is breeding season's greatest performance, each male singing at full volume to declare his fitness, his presence, his claim. Some are re-establishing territorial boundaries with their neighbors, a sonic fence, reset every morning. Some are simply doing what their species does, the song as automatic and necessary as breathing. The song is not, for the birds, something they choose the way you might choose a playlist. It is what they are. It comes from them, the way light comes from the sun, not as a decision, but as an expression of nature. And for you, listening, it does something that no research quite captures, but that everyone who has ever stood in a forest at dawn has felt. It makes the world feel generous, full, as if there is more here than the bare minimum needed to sustain life, as if nature, in the dawn chorus, is doing something extra, something beyond what survival requires, something that could almost be called joy. You know the birds don't feel joy the way you do. You know the song is hormonal and evolutionary and functional. And yet, listening to it, you feel something that functions like joy on your behalf, something rising in your chest, easy and warm, uncomplicated, something that says, this is real, this is good. You are alive in a world where this happens every morning, whether anyone listens or not. Thank you for walking through this night with me. If you've been here since the beginning, you've come a long way tonight, and I'd love to know how you feel. A comment when you wake up is always a gift. The light increases steadily. You can see colors now, faintly. The green of the moss regaining its color, the brown of the bark warming. A shaft of early horizontal light has reached the clearing you saw yesterday afternoon, and the wildflowers there, which closed their petals at dusk, are beginning to open again, slowly, each petal moving by fractions over the course of minutes. The whole flower opening like a slow exhalation, the yellow center revealing itself to the morning, ready for whatever the day will bring. Spiders' webs, lit by the early horizontal light, have become extraordinary. Every thread is loaded with dewdrops, and the light passing through each drop splits and bends and emerges as a tiny spectrum, red to violet, barely visible but there if you look. Each web is a rainbow in miniature. There are dozens of webs visible from where you sit, in the grass, between branches, across the space where two roots meet, draped over fallen logs. The forest, in this light, is hung with jewels that will dissolve when the sun rises higher and the dew evaporates. For now, they are there. For now, the forest is this: sound and color and dew and light. All of it more than enough. All of it given freely. All of it available to you simply because you're here and awake and soft enough to receive it. Your body feels rested in a way it hasn't in a while. Not just sleepy, genuinely rested at the level below muscle and thought, at the level where the deep systems run. Your cortisol, which would normally be rising sharply by now, is rising gently. Your heart rate is slow and steady. Your breathing is deep without effort. You have been held all night by the oldest thing on earth, by the accumulated patience of trees and water and dark and star. And your body has accepted the holding. It has let go of what it was carrying. It has done its repair work. It is ready. The sun comes. It comes as it always comes, without announcement, without ceremony, but with such completeness that everything changes at once. One moment, the forest is in the generous, diffuse light of dawn, and the next, the first direct ray of the sun has cleared the tree line and struck the canopy, and the leaves it touches explode with color: yellow-green, gold-green, a green so vivid and alive it seems almost to vibrate. The ray moves across the canopy as the earth turns, illuminating tree after tree, the light working its way through the forest from east to west in a slow, golden wave. The sound of the dawn chorus peaks, sustains for a long, bright minute, and then, gradually, begins to settle. Not all at once. Birds continue to sing through the morning, but the particular intensity of the pre-dawn chorus, that overwhelming fullness, eases. The birds have said what they needed to say. The day has been claimed. Now, the ordinary work of morning begins: foraging, feeding, the practical business of being alive on a new day. You watch a blackbird in the leaf litter near the stream, doing something blackbirds are extraordinarily good at: tilting its head to the side and listening, actually listening to the ground beneath the leaves. Blackbirds can hear earthworms moving underground. The slight rustle of a worm's body passing through soil is audible to the blackbird's sensitive ear, and it uses this to locate its breakfast with uncanny precision. It tilts its head, pauses, tilts the other way, then moves 3 quick steps to the left and plunges its beak into the leaves. Success. It holds the worm for a moment, a long pale arc of it, and then, with a quick practiced movement, is gone. The whole sequence complete, unhesitating, absolute. The morning light is on the stream now. Where last night the stream was a pale silver thread in moonlight, it is now full of color. The stones on its bottom visible through the clear water, each one amber and gray and pink. The water itself catching the sky color and the tree color and making something new from both. The water strider from yesterday is back, or perhaps a different one. There is no way to tell. It moves across the pool with the same unhurried efficiency, its shadow legs moving over the lit stones below. Everything familiar, everything new, both at once. If you've followed us through this whole night, you deserve the most peaceful morning. Check our playlist for more gentle places to spend your time. There are forests and oceans and quiet mornings waiting for you. You stand carefully, not wanting to disturb anything, though nothing around you would notice if you moved. Your back is stiff, pleasantly, the kind of stiffness that means your body was genuinely at rest, that your muscles were not working, that the oak root held you. You stretch slowly, your arms over your head, your spine lengthening, and the movement feels extraordinary, each joint finding its range, each muscle waking from its rest. Your body is warm from the inside, warm from the night spent in this sheltered place, and the morning air on your face and arms is cool and fresh, and the contrast between these two temperatures is one of the most alive sensations in the world. The fight insides are still here, still entering you, still doing their quiet work. The forest is still breathing out its molecules steadily, unchanged by the night, by the time of day, by your presence or absence. The trees don't know you're leaving. They don't know you were ever here. But you know. You will carry something of this with you. Not just a memory, not just a pleasant experience, but something physical, something actual. A reduction in certain hormones, an activation in certain cells, a measurable, real physical change that the forest has made in your body simply by being what it is. You take one long, slow breath of morning forest air. The whole history of the night is in it. The cool and the dew and the moth and the owl and the stream and the stars and the moss and the oak. You hold it for a moment. Then you let it go. The forest receives your breath in return. Neither of you needs to do anything else. The exchange is complete. It was always simply that, a breath in, a breath out, a body and a forest in the same place at the same time, both of them alive, both of them part of the same long, slow story. The morning light is fully established now, warm and horizontal, and full of the particular quality that only early morning has, a clarity, a freshness, as if the air itself is new, which in a sense it is. The photosynthesis that has been happening all night, very slowly, and that is now beginning to accelerate with the sun, is producing oxygen, always producing oxygen. The forest constantly refreshing the air, constantly replacing what is breathed out with what is breathed in. The air you are breathing right now is the freshest it will be all day. You breathe it with gratitude, though gratitude is too formal a word, with the ease of someone receiving something they needed without knowing they needed it. A pair of wood pigeons moves through the canopy above you, their wings beating with that particular soft clapping sound. A sound of peace, somehow, in a way that is hard to explain. Heavy birds, unhurried, going somewhere comfortable. They disappear between trees, and the sound of their wings fades, and the space where they were is returned to birdsong and light, and the soft murmur of the stream, which has accompanied this whole night and this whole morning without once changing its character. The stream is itself completely and continuously. Nothing you have done or felt or thought has changed it. It simply runs. It will run after you have gone home and slept and woken and gone about your day and lived your life for years. It will run on days you never think about it. The thought, which might in other circumstances feel isolating, feels here like relief, like setting something down. The world goes on. The stream runs. The trees stand. You are held by something that requires nothing from you, that was here before you and will be here after, that holds you now not out of obligation or sentiment, but simply because this is where you are, and it is here, and those two facts together are enough. The forest floor in morning light is a garden. Everywhere you look now, there is detail that the night concealed. A cluster of bracket fungi growing from a fallen log, rust orange and cream, each tier smooth as carved wood. a stand of ferns, each frond uncurling at its tip in the slow spiral called a fiddlehead. New growth, always curling open in a spiral, because the spiral is the shape life returns to when it doesn't know what else to be. A line of tiny mushrooms along a fallen branch, their caps still beaded with dew, ivory pale, perfectly formed. All of this was here last night. None of it needed to be seen to be real. You move slowly through the forest now, back along the path you came. Though the path looks different in morning light, different from the direction, different from this new hour. Trees that were shadow are now sunlit faces of bark and lichen. The clearing with the wildflowers is full of bees already, moving from flower to flower with that characteristic purposeful hover and land that bees do, their legs already furred with pollen, the flowers already rewarded for their patience. A butterfly, very fresh looking, very orange and black, is opening and closing its wings on a warm stone in a patch of sunlight. A behavior called basking, thermoregulation, using the sun's warmth to raise its body temperature enough to fly properly. It is not decorating the stone. It is working, but it looks like contentment, and your body, which has had enough of tension, receives it as contentment. And somewhere in your chest, a small, warm thing uncurls. You are nearly at the edge of the forest now. You can see ahead where the trees thin and the light beyond them becomes the full open light of morning. A different light, broader, less filtered, the world outside. You slow your pace without meaning to. Not reluctance. Not exactly. Just the instinct to not rush the end of something good. One more breath of the shaded air. One more look up at the canopy, where the leaves, backlit now by the morning sun, are translucent at their edges, glowing green gold, each one a small window. One more sound of the stream, fainter now, but still audible, still running somewhere behind you, through the deep of the trees. If tonight's walk gave you something, a quieter mind, a longer exhale, even just a moment of rest, please leave a comment and tell me. Your words become part of this place, too. The forest does not say goodbye. It doesn't acknowledge your departure. It continues, as it always has in every direction, at every depth. The root networks communicating below the soil, the canopy photosynthesizing above, the bacteria and beetles and worms doing their tireless work in the middle. You step out of the shade and into the full morning light, and for a moment the brightness is almost too much. Everything vivid and sharp and clear, the world very present, very here. But you are different than when you came in. Not dramatically, not in any way that would be visible from outside, but in the way that matters, in the body's quiet inner life. You are calmer. Something has been lowered and not yet risen again. Something has been rested that rarely gets to rest. The forest did not fix anything. It did not solve or resolve or explain. It simply offered itself, its age, its patience, its slow and enormous breathing presence, and your body, which has always known what to do in the presence of trees and water and clean air and patient old things, accepted the offer. You carry a little of the forest with you now. The molecules of its air are still in your bloodstream, doing their slow, kind work. The rhythm of the stream is somewhere in your pulse. The memory of the owl's call, the firefly's blink, the dew-hung web in the morning light, these are not just memories. They are the body's record of having been for a few hours held by something vast and indifferent and deeply, unconditionally kind. You will return to your life. The life will be what it is. But this is now part of you. The forest has given you what it gives everything that enters it. Itself, completely, without condition, for as long as you need it to be there. Let your eyes close now, if they haven't already. There is nothing left to do tonight. The forest is still there, somewhere behind your closed eyes. The oak root, the stream, the dew on the moss, the stars between the leaves. It holds you still. It holds everything gently and without effort, as it always has. You are safe. You are rested. Everything is quiet, and that is exactly as it should be. Breathe in. Breathe out. Let the forest keep you for the rest of the night. Rest. Well, the Sleepy Nature Channel.